This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
See this? All right, I call the meeting to order.
On the right-hand side. Yeah.
It's 8:23 on Monday, March 5th. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from February 5th. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye. All right, we have invoices. 5.
We have to add them to the agenda
We have to-
first.
Yep, we have to add, I have to list everyone, Jeff, right?
Yes,
Okay, so do we have to motion of everyone or
you could make one motion
Okay.
to add,
all the following?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to add Gilbane invoice number 35, $1,313,084.29. Perkins Eastman invoice 49970.13.0-5 in the amount of $1,750. Colliers International invoice 19872 in the amount of $3,278.76. Colliers International 20198 in the amount of $3,260.89, and WB Mason SF 000-13276-17 in the amount of $9,675. Do we have a motion to add these to the agenda?
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll go one by one now. Invoices are slowing down. We just met to the Finance Subcommittee meeting to go through all the invoices, so we reviewed them, asked questions, and are recommending the larger committee approve them. So the first one is Gilbane invoice 35 in the amount of $1,313,084.29. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perkins Eastman invoice 49970.13.0-5 in the amount of $1,750.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Colliers International invoice 19872 in the amount of $3,278.76.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Colliers International 20198 in the amount of $3,260.89.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
WB Mason SF 000-13276-17 in the amount of $9,675.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That's it for,
All right, thank you. We got our bills paid. We don't have any formal change orders to discuss, but we have a number of items that we need to discuss and have action on. The number one is the auditorium egress lighting. That's holding up our TCO. And what's the status on that, Joe? We have any specs on that, or what?
Yeah, we gave specification of the lighting. I think that Chuck and the fire marshal went to see an installation of it up north. He wrote an email to the effect of he has no issues with that being installed, that would achieve the lighting levels that he was requiring.
Mhm.
So I think it's just a matter of the committee approving it and moving forward. I think that we had discussed having someone other than Gilbane do it.
Right.
Just for quickness and everything else, but other than that, I think we're ready to go.
Do we have enough information to get a quote?
I think we do. What I would recommend, Gary, we check state contract if, Edmore, electrician,
Ed Moore.
to see if they're on state contract.
Doubt Ed Moore is, but.
I'd be surprised, under under the general trades, or not?
No.
Okay.
But we have the specs for the equipment.
Yeah, we
And we just
know
need
what
to
the
pass
product is. It's a matter of, here's, the key thing here is showing from where the product ties into what circuits. I know it's not a lot of work, but it's be able to show whoever the bidder is or whoever's gonna perform the work where to tie it in. It's just those loose ends, and it might be just a simple field visit,
Right.
with them to coordinate with that. And Phil, I don't know if you know, or if we ask Ed Moore to just show us where they think might be, I don't know. It's just that final tie-in, it's
I would
just the
terminate
home
them off
run.
stage in the electrical closet right off stage, and that's the closest and
Well, the stage, we have to come from the back of house,
right.
most likely, I would think, by the control room, and come
Well,
a
you
circuit
still-
off the control room.
You still have to go to that back stage closet.
Well, that's where we have to coordinate more. I think we're thinking, hey, let's just put this light on the floor. It's really, if it goes to there, then we're talking more work. We're talking, it needs to be coordinated, a simple plan of, hey, if
You have to, I mean,
If I
you
can
have to see-
interrupt, I'm sorry, if I can interrupt for a second, Chuck. We had the same conversation a month ago. I'm sorry, I'm a volunteer. I came here today because I thought we were gonna move forward on some of these things.
Yeah.
So that we'd be able to come to some conclusion on these. We had the same conversations from Joe, the same statements were made, we were talking about where we were gonna plug it in. What have we done over the last month to move forward to making this happen, so we don't have another meeting where we talk about the same thing in April?
No, good point, Dave. It sounds like nothing has really happened since our last meeting.
So why was
So-
nothing done?
Well, I know for myself, I didn't realize that the fire marshal had approved it. I had asked Gary and he advised, so that might have been a miss on my behalf of not seeing the email. Now it's a matter of, again, if we need to have Perkins put together a sketch to where it goes, we've looked at the documentation, but if we have to go back to a circuit behind it,
Can
then
we,
we just have to do
if we
that.
talk about this again in April, I'm gonna have to excuse myself. I can't give up another morning to have the same meeting 2 months in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope our leadership team moves this forward. I mean, what do you need from us to move this forward?
What we're gonna do is procure a quote from a contractor to bring to you for final pricing, because we don't have final pricing to ask
Okay,
for.
can we move on to the next item? Because nothing was done and we beat this up last month.
Sure.
Sorry, I
As
don't
long
mean to
as
be
we-
rude. I don't mean to be rude, but
But we do, and I agree with Dave, that we need to get this done just for purposes of getting the TCO, if nothing else.
All of
And
these
then-
items under number 3 are ones that we've been carrying
Right.
over month after
Right.
month.
So we have
I
to do
think part
this
of the
one.
difficulty is we've typically used Gilbane to procure the work, and I think it's unclear as to who's going out there and getting the contract.
I wish you guys would ask us, what do you need from us? Come on, we've had these conversations. Enough said.
Dave, we don't need, I'll lead the charge on that. We'll procure a quote. I'll just have to make sure that we're procuring it per the town guidelines. If it's over the guidelines, we'll have to put it out to bid.
Great.
We're estimating, around probably 15 to 20,000 for this. Again, that might be a little bit high. Just have to make sure that we're procuring it, according to town guidelines. But I'll coordinate with Gary and Joe.
Great.
And we'll get that done.
Thank you.
The other one, the classroom shelving, we need to do the same thing with that, just get
And
that
just
thing
get a
together
bid.
and.
We have a
We have a bid.
quote for that, and no action was taken on a motion at the last meeting.
Where was the quote from?
It's from G. Donovan on state contract.
Is
It was,
this-
and I have the quote right in front of me, so we presented the quote, the last one. So for the shelving, for the 4 prep rooms, their estimate's $11,664. I compared it, I did a rough estimate, just using, looking on Home Depot and wire shelving and roughing out the hours, and it was just slightly below that. And if I recall at the last meeting, Gary called for a motion to proceed with their proposal to do it, and a motion was not made during that meeting, if I recall that
All right,
correctly.
so now that we know that you vetted it out and checked, I guess we need a motion.
So I just feel as though we need to stop dragging our feet over $11,000. We've all determined that they
Yeah.
need the shelving, there's no question about it. We've looked at all their alternatives. that don't seem to save much money. These are the ones that are made out of wood,
Right.
Chuck?
Yes, correct. It's got the cleat, it's gonna be properly installed by a licensed contractor who's done this plenty of times. It's a single shelf on either side, above the millwork.
That runs the full length of the wall though, correct?
That's my understanding, correct. It's approximately 40 feet on each side.
So, but this is an approximate?
It's
so
an
how you
estimate, it's
want
based
us
upon
to-
a time and material, it's a quote, and they'll submit time and material tickets for that. They
So
have,
can we just do not to exceed the number that you have?
Or how do we do it if it's,
Yeah,
it'll be awarded based upon the state contract, based on a time and materials, with an estimated value of, a quote of $11,664.
so do we do not to exceed, and then if something happens, then it has to come back here?
Yes,
I mean,
we'll
we
come
have
back
to-
if it for some
All right,
reason
so
does
let's
would
make
come
that
back for
motion,
approval.
not to exceed for the shelving, $11,660. I'm making the motion.
11,664?
11,664.
And what's the name of the,
G. Donovan Associates,
Gee, Don.
G. period Donovan Associates.
It was 11 for all 4 offices.
Yep,
That was the shelving for the prep rooms.
yeah.
was there another room that we were talking about
There
shelving? Was
are
that-
others, yeah.
Yes, there is a request from the special ed teacher for additional cabinets and a countertop in the storage room off of there on the
That's not
second
shelving,
floor.
no.
There's a closet off of.
That was the mill work,
Right.
wasn't it?
That was for millwork, correct, and there's an
That was like
estimate.
another 11, wasn't it?
That was 11,916 from the same firm to install those. Again, on state contract, time and materials.
So there's two separate classroom
Yeah, but-
shelving issues.
One's for millwork in a closet, the other one's shelving in the
The
prep
yeah, the
rooms.
shelving is on the agenda, the,
And wasn't there shelving for the gym as well? That we-
Well, I think that was, I'm not
That were just
sure.
little portables, right?
Yeah, I think they were gonna look at that.
Okay.
I have another one, there is one for athletic shelving. Let's bring that up as we speak.
Why don't we approve the shelving
Yeah.
and the book that's on the agenda?
yeah.
If someone would like to take a walk and see what the closet space looks like, maybe we can do a field trip.
That was about
All right, so we have a motion
I
for
made a motion for the shelving.
first
I'll second.
set of shelving for the science.
Thank
club.
you. We gotta get that.
All, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Now, we have the second quote for the, for that storage closet with the millwork.
Yeah, that was 11,900.
16.
Yep.
Your motion to accept?
I think we
Well,
need,
we have to add, don't we have to add?
We have to add that
We
to
have
the
to add
agenda,
it
I'm
to
sorry.
the
We have to
agenda.
add the first one to the agenda too.
Yep.
No,
but how
this
much
first one's on
cabinetry,
it.
Well,
how
it's
much
not- it's not,
cabinetry was that,
proposed.
Chuck?
Action.
It was lower, I know we talked about this one. It was all lower, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Counter and lower shelves?
It was base cabinets and
So they don't have
stainless steel.
cabinets?
Not the gymnasium.
No, that's that room that,
It's a closet, basically. It's a
She
large
has-
closet.
Oh, okay.
She has
that
nothing in
little
there.
alcove
basically.
and it's empty.
Special ed?
All right, let's move back a little bit. I want to add to the agenda, a motion to add to the agenda, the,
Classroom shelving.
Closet?
the science room. Let's go, because this is not really this is items for a discussion.
Right,
The classroom science prep rooms for G. Donovan for the amount of,
11.
prep rooms?
64,
Yeah.
right. I make that motion to add it to the agenda.
all in favor of adding?
I
Is there a
second adding to the
All-
agenda.
All in favor of adding to the agenda? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The motion is, for approval is the G. Donovan for the science prep room shelving for the amount of 11,000.
664.
664.
So I make that motion.
Is there a second?
How much shelving is it?
No, this is the same one. We just added it to the agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We already voted
We
for
already
but
did it,
wasn't
but we
on
did
the
it out of
agenda.
order, so you
So
have to.
re-second your-
So re-second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
We're driving Tammy crazy, I know. All right, I'd like to add on to the agenda,
Sign, was it sign?
G.
Oh.
Donovan for the special ed closet millwork and shelving for the amount of
$916.
$11,916. Is there a motion to bring onto the agenda?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to approve G. Donovan for $11,916.
How much cabinetry are we talking about there? Is it in a closet, is it not in a closet?
It's a closet.
They're quote approximately 28 linear feet of plastic laminate cabinet bases with aluminum interiors, solid surface countertops, and one storage room. No wall cabinets or upper cabinets or tall cabinets in that quote. Just base cabinets with a countertop.
Did you look at this as well, Chuck?
I was not there. I have the estimate in front of me. There's no design for this. The contractor came out, met with Phil Piazza to look at all these spaces, including the prep room. They went and met in the closet with that teacher, and she described to them what she was looking for storage, and they based that quote upon that meeting with her.
Isn't that the classroom that has no millwork in it at all, like the other classrooms do?
That's
Like, she
correct.
has no cabinetry at all.
Correct.
It's not like she's looking for additional. Her room itself has no cabinetry. She's one of only, I mean, is she the only one?
Probably the only one.
Yeah.
But she has a closet
It's
that's
a
for
small
storage, that's
But
just a
has-
floor, there's
just throw
no
things on the floor,
actual
closet.
storage right now, so this is
I
to
don't know how we
get
missed that.
storage for her in a closet and to put stuff away and a countertop to put,
But all the other classrooms have cabinetry
Yep.
to store them things away. She has none.
Somehow we
Is there a
missed that.
reason why it wasn't put in there initially? Is there?
I don't know if it's the setup of her classroom.
It might have been a program, they just had it for storage, and then once typically happens, staff get into a space and they actually physically see it, and now they look at it and see a need.
Or she
you know,
says
after
everybody
the
else
fact.
has cabinets and I
I
don't.
just struggle with $11,000 seems like a lot of money for shelving.
No, that's not.
No, this is
Cabinet.
actual
This is cabinets and
cabinetry.
countertops.
And that's about 28 linear feet of cabinetry in there, so it's lining a whole left side of that room with, so you're talking the materials themselves, the countertops, the installation, and the labor, so. I don't
For
think that's
cabinets,
too
yes.
Fine.
Throw stuff on
They're
them.
all custom made, it's not like a stock shelf.
I make the motion to
Done.
approve the special ed millwork G. Donovan, in the amount of $11,916.
There's a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, so we have the shoveling. The additional roof drains, we've been going back and forth on that one. That one, I don't know where that
Yeah, so we-
stands right now.
Yeah, so Lindsay just sent an ATP late Friday.
Oh, okay.
To add the one roof drain at the auditorium above the stage. The amount is, the ATP is for $13,808 to add the one roof drain.
How much was that?
13,808.
808.
We just got this late on Friday. So majority of the work is appears to be the plumbing contractor.
So that's the tie-in,
MJ
that
Daly.
pooling that we've talked about again for the last few
Yeah,
meetings.
it's very shallow. It's in the flat part of the roof above the stage. It's essentially a field condition resultant of the existing steel, the slope that was built into that steel. We looked at other alternatives other than this, but when you start trying to build in slopes to get the water to the drains, you're gonna pushing this water in other areas of the roof.
And one will suffice?
Yes, we looked at it, and there's two that are already in the back area of the stage already, but because it's so flat, I mean, this water is no more than a 1/4 inch deep. It's really about it's the area and the way the warranty is drafted. I believe the roofing contractors come and the roof manufacturer and said it's fine. However, they'd be concerned that if they came back later for some
We
reason
wouldn't
and
validate
tried
that.
to change that. And I think collectively our recommendation would be to put a drainer, you don't want standing water up there, you want to
And you
get
don't
rid of
wanna,
that.
you don't wanna open yourself up to a warranty dispute if there's ever an issue with that roof.
No, and roof is number one, as we've
Yeah.
been saying, so.
I mean, this is a
So that's-
proactive, installation to relieve that water so that if there was a leak ever, up there or something occurred, we can say, listen, we added another drain for the area to relieve that.
And the manufacturer, even though he said it's okay, their
The way it
warranty
reads is different.
reads any water more than, was it 3 by 3?
Yeah, if it didn't evaporate within
X
48 hours,
yeah.
then
Then void
then it would void it. So the warranty says one thing, what they're advising is another.
Okay,
So that's ATP what? What's the number?
250,
And the amount?
13,808. Now, this work isn't, because it's, it requires, in-ceiling work, and for us to open up the roof, there's, some hot work involved with it, because we have to support the roof drain. I believe Lindsay was planning to do that at the beginning of the summertime, because it is fairly invasive to the school, so.
Yeah,
And Green Skies can't start until this is done, correct?
right.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to add to the agenda ATP 250 for an additional roof drain for $13,808.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a question that came to my mind. By putting this extra in, that won't have any impact on the warranty or whatever the manufacturer signed off on the existing
No,
finished
because
product or design?
No, because they're gonna come out. It's the same installing contractor for it. We're just adding another drain. So if anything, it's gonna ship better. They shouldn't have. They should be happy with it.
And the same people are doing the work, so
Correct. Correct. They're certified
you
installers for
entrusted
the
them
roof
to do the
system.
work to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not a long project, so Green Skies can come in
No.
and put the panels up this summer and we'll be all set for the fall.
It should take a couple of days to do once.
Yeah, a
Good.
week,
Okay.
by the time you run the whole sequence.
All right, your motion's been seconded, all in favor?
That was,
That was to
That
add
was
to
to add to
the
the agenda.
agenda.
Oh,
Now we need a
all in favor?
motion. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Entertain a motion to approve ATP 250 for additional roof drain for the amount of $13,808.
Make a motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We've got action, Dave.
That's it.
Thank you.
I think you said, what many of us were thinking each time we would see it, like, again?
That's all I have on the agenda. Is there anything else anybody has?
Oh, yes.
Is there any action on those backboards, by any chance?
All done.
Their glasses up? Good.
Got lots of
Looks good.
action
Looks
items. What about the netting? Where's
How
the
about the
nets?
netting?
Yeah,
How about the netting?
So we've had quite a few emails going back and forth last week. They're supposed to be shipped from J-Pro today. That's the manufacturer. The vendor who we purchased from they're in Connecticut, but they're the ones that are on the state contract that we get the pricing through. So I have Tickler to follow up. We emailed Friday. Joe was on there, and we went back and forth. Supposed to be shipping today. So I'll be hopefully getting a report today that it's on a truck and on its way here. So.
I think I asked the question before, are they installing them?
No, they're only provided. It's purely bring them, drop them off,
The
so
other
you'll have some work
contractor
to
was the one that was
do.
gonna install them. Okay. I guess I'll install them.
I guess so.
So,
So we're gonna go back to the auditorium now. Floor's still not painted in those spots that they patched, right?
Right.
Railing's still loose on the,
Yeah, it needs a longer bolt.
paint
Sure.
still chipped off of the railing going up.
Chipped and peeling is two different things.
Well, we've already had this discussion about it multiple times. You could call it whatever you want. They said it wasn't adhering. That was another issue with adherence, like it was near the main stairwell. So that's still there. Then we had that whole list of items that, that were of concern because of the play. So went back and forth because it appeared that up until about a week ago, some of them were still outstanding. And there seems to be issue with whether or not things are required based upon the scope of work, whether they are code items, or whether they are just safety issues. And a couple of these, one in particular, that I am concerned with is a safety issue, and we've discussed and we've gone and looked, that there's pipes on either side of the stage, and there was bolts. So this was what it looked like before, it's hard to see. But there's a bolt, and then there's a clamp that is on the pipe itself. So they cut the bolts down, so you can see that they're flush now. But the issue remains, is this thing. If you're coming off the stage, and that is what the stage crew kids are gonna be doing. If you are coming off the stage, this pipe is right in front of you. So that's great that the bolt that's on the side is cut now, but you still have this clamp. And they said last year that they had to wrap this pipe the actual production people from the play had to wrap the pipe themselves and put reflective tape on it. So, had this conversation with Chuck in regards to whether or not it was code. So did we find out, Joe, did you,
There's no code requirement. to-
so there's no code, so it's strictly a safety issue. So it means it's our responsibility, not theirs. And in my opinion, it needs to be fixed before this play. The play is in less than a month. It's pitch black when these kids are going on and off stage. This is to your immediate, they're on both sides. This is to your immediate right and your immediate left, just as you walk up that staircase.
What's the height on that from the ground?
Height, my height, 5
Yeah.
feet,
Well,
4 or 5 feet.
Two different heights.
They're two different heights.
Well, the one on the right side is the one that I noticed, and then we realized that there was one on the left.
So the fix is just to put a piece of foam.
It just
around
needs to be
both
wrapped.
sides,
It needs to be wrapped.
And you can wrap around that thing.
Well, can it be moved? I mean, can we elevate it to a height of like 7 feet?
There's still, regardless, that, I mean, whether they can move that, but there's still the pipe,
pipe.
so we still would need to wrap this pipe, and I just wanna make sure that this gets done. The
So
kids
you wanna
are,
wrap the pipe or you wanna wrap the
Yeah,
clamp?
I thought you were worried about
Wrap it
kids
all.
walking into the clamp.
Huh?
there's a pipe and a clamp. So
Yeah.
they cut off the bolt, which was just a portion of the issue.
Understand that.
All of it.
By your photograph, I thought you were expressing concern relative to that clamp that remains sticking out perpendicular from the pipe.
I'll pass this picture around. The pipe goes down quite a ways.
Yes.
So if you're going off stage with equipment or whatever, you're hitting this pipe, whether or not you hit that clamp in the head or what, but the whole pipe is.
should be wrapped.
I mean, I don't
No,
even,
that's fine, but the pipe.
Because it's so close when they get off the stage.
it's right there.
It's right there. Like, if you're not paying attention and you have different height, someone's gonna smack. I saw it, because I
So we're
was there
saying
last
what,
week.
we're saying this is the school responsibility?
Yeah,
building
apparently it's not a
responsibility?
code issue.
It's a safety issue.
It's a safety
Both
issue.
sides need to be wrapped.
And it needs to be done before this play is put on, which is the very first week of April. So where do we stand now? We keep going back and forth about the floor. They think the floor is done. They put little spots of paint, which this picture doesn't show very well, but they stick out like sore thumbs. So the spots that were white when they pulled up the carpet and there was glue, so they must have taken the glue off the floor.
In front of the stage.
Yeah, so there's dark spots. So now everywhere in the front of the stage where they took the glue off, there's now these dark patches that don't match the paint on the rest of the floor.
They primer and patch, they just never came back. and
Need to
put
go
the
through the
finish
whole
on it.
thing.
Yeah, that was like, how long ago? That was a month
And then
ago.
the back of the stage, there's an area of concrete that's coming apart.
That's supposed to be done also.
Yeah, well, because I had heels on, I'm like, if anybody in this play is back there with heels, they're gonna fall.
In the storage room?
Yeah, she was talking about the one in the middle of the storage room, and then we were talking about that one that transitions you into.
Two.
There's two of them.
Yeah,
There's
there's
one
two
where
of
they
them.
that we removed the CMU wall, and I responded, I don't know.
Yeah,
responded
something has to
Lindsay.
be done.
And it originally called, I think the scope there, they said, it had a note about refinishing the wood floor. Well, the wood floor is removed, so
Yeah, it's that
patch it.
wood area.
Yeah.
It's like cement.
it-
If anybody
patch.
with any lip in a shoe, they're gonna trip.
All right, we will, we'll revisit that with.
So
Elaine,
those are safety
the
issues.
Two areas, so.
And then,
They need to be filled with some type of level elastic.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick patch.
like, why not just like a concrete patch?
Yeah, it's all.
You couldn't
It's a level elastic.
Same.
Levelize it, it's long.
Yeah.
It's
In those
like-
two spots.
Yeah, those two spots.
And then this one, I got a couple messages, direct messages to myself. And then it happened to be a topic on one of the community forums within the last couple of weeks. I don't spend enough time in there to make a comment one way or the other, but people are still commenting that the gyms smell musty. So I asked Mike, who coaches a team, you're in there, do you think it smells musty? And
Yes, so it's not consistent, and I expected to have a shirt or a jacket to bring in so everyone could smell it today, but it didn't really smell. It didn't smell this weekend, maybe because there was a lot more bodies in the gym for the playoffs, but my son gets in the car after practice and there's a smell on his gear as he walks in. So I'm not sure, and I don't think it's mold or mildew. It's kind of just a dusty, musty smell.
I've discussed with you and others that my theory is it's those mats that are sitting, laying, no, why
Went
not?
through all the mats, checked them, smelled them. I didn't smell anything off the
There was
mats.
nothing in the building that would,
I know.
The HVAC is
but
all
if we
new,
replace
right?
those mats,
Because I've smelled anything.
I mean, those mats, how old are those mats?
Old, but I even asked the gym teachers to go through them. I went through them.
1960.
And actually, the other day, last Friday, they were working on the units in the ceilings of the gym, put new filters and stuff in, which might have actually helped over this weekend, minimizing the
Yeah,
odor.
not as many complaints this weekend at all, but people have come into the gym when I've held the door open for them and have lodged their complaints, grandparents and things like that about the smell.
I think it's a
The other,
mat.
but here's the other thing.
How can those mats not smell if they've been there ever since?
I
What are the
literally
mats?
picked them up and smelled them.
Where are the mats?
Rollins,
They're all
the
over
Ox gym.
they're all over they're
Against
on
the
the
wall,
sides of
on
the
the
gym.
wall.
on
All right, but what are the purpose of them,
Not-
so
not
that the
the
kids
red
don't
ones,
hit the
the blue
walls?
ones.
No,
bounce
they go on
into
the floor.
walls?
No, we
They-
have
they
them
spread
on,
them on the
that's
floor.
They're stored.
My other
Okay, so
thing-
could we pull them out of there for a week or something and see if it smells better? I mean, that would be,
I don't know,
test?
I know they're in there for a reason every day, they use them.
well, that's why I was asking, are they just, or what was the purpose of them in there if they need them and we don't want to pull them? But if they weren't in use and we could test that theory,
My other theory might be, we had a problem with the drain pan that BVH was looking into, where it was holding water. It wasn't draining,
corrected.
it wasn't draining correctly. I just want to make sure that BVH vetted that, and it is draining correctly, and there's no standing water in it.
so in addition to that, again, this is, Mike can probably attest to it better. I'm told that there are dead spots on the floor and that the floor is warped in some areas. One is where you walk into the gym. Now, we went through a whole process to determine whether or not we were gonna replace the floors or fix the floors, and we were told they were in really good shape. So I'm just kind of surprised to hear that there's issues with the floor.
Well, there's a couple of dead spots, they're not major. When you first walk in, I think what's really happening now is, when that floor got sanded and hasn't been breathing in years with the HVAC and the heating systems in that building, it's moving. It's shifting. You can actually see the lines and the spaces in the floor actually opening a lot more than they've ever been. So you're getting movement out of that floor, which is probably causing some of the issues, especially closer to the door where the repairs were done.
There's definitely gaps, and I don't know if that's anything that can be adjusted, but there's a lot of seams.
Yeah, they're gonna adjust themselves. There's no adjusting. I mean, you get more humidity in there, they might swell back up, but right now, you've taken all the humidity out of that room. And I think we're just getting movement and probably some shrinkage in the boards. And you get it in new floors also. Happens in high school, same thing.
Well, I remember the discussion about a whole new floor versus this really great hardwood floor that we have in place. And, you know, it looks great, at least it looks great until you get on there and you kind of see the cracks and the gaps. And there are dead spots, one right at the foul line. I know the kids bounce the ball and it's a dead sound. That's probably at every court. And I trust that it'll adjust as winter goes away and the warmth and humidity comes back. But there are spots that I was a little surprised by.
So will that continue to happen every year, Phil?
The movement?
Yeah, in these gaps?
I can't tell you
Yeah,
that for
so,
sure.
I mean, what Phil's talking about, I mean, this was an unconditioned gym for the 50-odd years or so that it was in place, or 60-odd years. And they're pieces of wood, right? They swell when they get more moisture in them, and they contract as they get drier. This is the first time that the gym has been subject to like very constant temperature and humidity. We now have it set up so that it's very constant. So my expectation would be that, yeah, this is the period of adjustment. It's going to be in place for a little while, and then those things will stabilize. What it did before is during seasons when it was more moist, you know, the pieces of wood would move closer together and everything swells, and you might even have buckling in some places. And then as it dries out, especially in the wintertime, it would expand back out. You won't have the expansion and contraction so much now. But there is an adjustment period now that it's adjusting to constant humidity and constant temperature.
So not being a flooring guy, it's gonna breathe, so it's gonna be dry in the wintertime. Is there anything that we can do to make the floor perform better at this point?
Well, I guess my point is that we've already done it, in that we've put in place an HVAC system that's gonna keep temperature and humidity relatively constant throughout the year.
But at this point, after we've done the HVAC, at this point today, a year or so after the gym has been released, is there anything that we can do to help the floor perform better?
I don't know the answer to that. I can talk to some subs.
And it might be worth having someone just look.
Yeah, it might be worth having the guy who did it originally come back and take a look and see if there's anything. They did fix a lot of sections on that floor, pulling stuff out where we noticed that there were dead spots, they redid the floor.
The section coming into the gym on the main entry is moving, and you can feel it as you walk on it. That's something that should definitely be looked at. And that's off the court, it's not actually on the court, but it's definitely something that they replaced when they were in there.
So what do we have to do to get the approval, to have somebody come in and take a look at it before our next meeting?
We can have Kenvo come back and take a look at it.
Who did it?
Great,
Kenvo flooring.
thank you.
Have him bring a basketball.
Are you finding that it's interfering with the game? The youth games that I saw this year,
It's
I was
so much better. It's so-
completely oblivious.
Yeah.
Right. Frankly, I'd rather say what you just said. You know, my comment would be, Jim's 100% better. So this is all news to me in terms of both the smell, which I personally didn't notice. My wife didn't complain about it, which is interesting, because she smells everything.
I almost mentioned that, but.
Yeah. And my son plays on the basketball team, I didn't know about this, so fine, it's not a me thing, it's just, I think the gym is enormously improved. Disappointed to hear these things, but I did not observe that there was any adverse effect on the youth basketball games that I had the pleasure of watching this year.
Well, unfortunately, people are saying it's beautiful, but it stinks. It's musty, my nose runs and my eyes drip, I smell, you know, when my kids get in the car, we have to roll down the windows. There was a whole chain of this. And everybody references musty. So I know you said you didn't think it was a musty smell, but all the people that commented said musty.
I didn't think it was musty smell myself.
So, I mean,
It is different than.
seriously though, why would we want this to continue? Like, we did all that
The
work,
sneakers smell
it smells like a
Well,
cool chain.
obviously, we don't want it to continue if we can avoid it, but I think we haven't gotten any official complaints from the building owners about this, so.
Listen, if I was on your board and I was a committee member, I would say, listen, why don't we just get someone in there, do an air quality test, put it all to rest, and forget about it. That's what I would tell you to do.
Well, we have someone on the committee who's experienced it, so.
Well, let's get the flooring guys out there first and then see.
Yeah, but
Smells not
but is
coming
this
from the
something
floor.
we can do?
Yeah,
And I'm
that's what
gonna
I was
go-
thinking, it can't possibly be from underneath the floor,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Because it's the only thing in there that's original.
It would have already been there, we never pulled up the
Oh,
floor.
it probably was already there. I mean, so the smell was there 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Well,
Right, but that's what we're saying, like, is it possible, the only thing that we didn't pull out in there was the floor. Is it possible the smell is coming from underneath the floorboards? I mean,
That would be my guess, and that's, I was thinking if the floor guy would say, well, we'll put another seal on it because it has gapped and there's now,
You're not gonna seal up the wood floor. I mean,
no.
it's supposed to move, it's supposed to expand and contract.
Would there be any benefit to taking the mats out for a week and seeing,
I mean, we can talk to
and they can work around that, I'm sure.
we can talk to Phil and see what they're working
But you
on
got
now.
We,
to smell it.
we need to
Not
get
him, because he doesn't smell it.
Phil and Phil together
Yeah.
and come to this and tell us, what the issues are, because anecdotal comments are not.
I personally don't have an issue, other than the fact that some of the floorboards are probably loosening up that were repaired.
I'm talking more about the smell. I mean, the floor performance we can deal with.
I'm not the right person, because I don't smell it when I go in there.
But the staff,
And I'm there every Saturday watching my grandson play, so.
the teachers are there, the students are there.
I'll talk with Phil.
Yeah.
Sniffer.
And then,
See this sniffer? It always works.
All right, so we're gonna have Phil Piazza talk to his people and get back to us, as well as Carrie, we're gonna call in the
Yeah,
floor.
have them look at the floor.
Okay.
Mike can point out all the places.
You do realize that the reason why I'm continually bringing things up is they're gonna be gone very soon. And you can determine that it's out of their scope or, but regardless, if that's the case, then they're gonna fall back to us. And some of these things still need to be
Well, they're not gonna call
addressed.
back to us, because we're not gonna be here either. So it
When I
becomes
say
a-
us, I
It becomes Dr. Cronin's issue.
Right, so that is why I'm trying to get clarification on all of these outstanding issues. I mean, if I go back through this notebook,
They're good points.
if I go back through this notebook, there's many more. Let's talk again about the red couches. I mean, there's all these things that get talked about and then get cast aside and we move on to other things. And I'm afraid that there's items that are gonna slip through the cracks, and then when all is said and done, they're gonna be the school's responsibility. And we all know there's only so much money and there's only so many things that are gonna get done. So, anybody thinks of anything else along the way that we may have discussed and then dropped, bring it, because the time is now. And we still have issues.
Always gonna have issues.
But you
All right.
don't agree that we should get as many of the things addressed while we still
Absolutely, I'm
have?
not challenging you at all.
Well,
Am I?
I'm just saying, this is things that should be addressed and shouldn't be just left, because we all know they're not gonna get done. Let's just be honest. No offense, Phil, but there's just, if there's things that we could have addressed and should have addressed, and maybe are gonna cost a little money to fix, then the time is now, and not when we're all closed out, and they don't have access to
I
that.
agree. No problem.
Anything
That's all
else?
I have. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question. What about a electronic scoreboard for one of the synthetic turf fields?
What about?
What about it?
What about?
Well, I thought if we had extra money, the track was gonna be the thing
Okay.
that we needed.
I'm actually presently looking at a temporary fix, which would be a portable scoreboard. I can't do much better than that this year, out of my budget.
Not solar
We
powered.
put the infrastructure in there.
It could be solar powered or plug-in. I'm not sure, I'm actually looking at some right now.
It's in good condition. Where did we put that? Where did the scoreboard go that we had? That was, didn't we say we had a scoreboard and it was in good condition and we were gonna use it? Where did that go?
Well, you could use it, but you gotta still put in the steel, you gotta still take the sign down, you gotta move the sign, it's not just,
What sign?
pick it up and.
Because when we were talking originally about
You
getting a
have one on Bailey Road
scoreboard,
that's never used, and you have one on.
When you say the sign, you mean the scoreboard?
Scoreboard.
Yeah.
because I remember us having conversation
We have
about a
two.
scoreboard and then being told we had a scoreboard.
We have two.
Wasn't it solar? Was it a
Yeah,
solar
we have-
scoreboard?
We have two.
Where is it?
There's one on Bailey Road, mounted and
Okay,
in
so
place.
it's being used,
No,
It's
he
not.
said it's
No.
being used. He said it.
so it's not being used.
Right, so it's just there. But the problem is you have to pour concrete piers, you have to put the bolt system in, you have to get the steel. You know, it's definitely not something that we have the ability to do ourselves.
And what happened with your cherry picker prices? Did you,
I got one for a new one, I'm just looking at some used ones right now because the new ones are like $24,000.
I remember you
Used
said that a
ones are
couple
like-
months ago.
Used ones
You
are
did-
like 6 or 7
I thought you went to the
thousand.
place on Sack Point Road to
I
look at the
did, he was
used.
waiting for some to come back in and see what kind of condition they were in. I saw two of them that I was impressed with.
Okay.
And he had more coming back in off of road.
Could we get an estimate as to what the cost would be to do the steel work and dig the foundations?
I sure we could, yeah. Do we do it through the committee or do we do it through me? I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I don't have the answers either. But it's clear that we don't have a scoreboard, and
Well, the track was the
I'm not
next
sure
thing
if
on
the
the list to
scoreboard we
do.
have does.
So Phil
all the
could get an
schools.
estimate, but the next thing, if we had the money left, was the track.
right, I'm not
Right,
asking
but
you
we
to
could just get it.
leapfrog over.
No, I'm
The
saying Phil
priority
should
of
get
it.
the estimate, just so we have an idea.
Exactly,
Right, because we have no clue.
exactly.
Baseball.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else?
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting, I want to get the finals for I said this again, the roof, for the auditorium lighting. So we'll meet in 2 weeks,
The other-
so that we can make a decision on that.
I do have one more thing, and that would be the lighting on the west side of the auditorium. I'm sorry, of the gym.
Oh,
The one
shit,
that issue that Lou brought up,
Yes.
the southwest corner,
South.
site lighting.
Both southwest and north,
Okay.
they need the lights on.
Well, there was a
the side.
concern there wasn't enough lighting for the site.
Definitely is, and David saw that too.
In that corner, right?
Well, both corners, basically. There's not enough light there.
All right, who do we go for that?
If we want to do it through the project, I think we'd have to get, is it DTC did the lighting? Out there to actually look at it and see what the actual conditions are and see what those fixes would be and how do we get lighting to there. We've actually encumbered, in the contingency, I encumbered 15,000 for that lighting, whatever ends up being.
Well, and I looked at it with the electrician, and they can come from the inside, tap in,
Just pop through.
and pop through.
We'll just put motion and.
Yeah,
light
promotions
detectors,
and LEDs and be done with it. It's not.
Is that off of the
Doesn't have to be
gym?
switched, doesn't have to be anything.
What is the system on
Let's
that,
do it.
on that facade now? We can talk about just popping a conduit in, but, you know, it sounds like easy, but.
Well, I mean,
Penetrating
it's a guy with a hammer drill and some
Vapor
patience.
barriers or anything like
Yeah,
that?
well, you gotta go through the
Building
thin brick,
envelope.
you gotta go through that other stuff.
Yeah,
So it may be a matter of bringing the conduit, you know, on the face of the wall on the inside for a little
yeah,
while.
and there's plenty to tap off of on the inside walls that
Yeah,
are outstanding. So it's not a big problem, and again, I think at 15 grand, you have plenty of money in there to do it.
It's probably more than we needed, you know, but it's encumbered.
Yeah,
It's a matter, do we have formal documents, I mean, from Perkins Eastman to issue as a change order, I mean,
Yeah.
or does this get handled separately?
I would really like to see our electricians that did the building do the job. I just hate having someone else jump into something that, you know, we're not done, you can use a different electrician, who might do something wrong, you know, or didn't do something wrong, and who's gonna blame who, and I would rather just stick with the electricians that did all the work and have them put the lights up also.
So then, this becomes DTC Perkins Eastman to Gilbane?
If
Or
that's
we-
the case, if that's a path you're gonna follow for that, it would be through that. If you're gonna do that, I would have them do the auditorium lighting at the same time. If there's gonna be any additional work,
I would say the same thing.
I would have, if you're gonna do that, let's put these packages up and have them do that as well.
So if that's
Versus
the
a separate
case,
contract.
We being Perkins Eastman and DTC can issue a
No light at all.
bulletin to that effect for both of those things. So in that, we would identify where we thought it would be best to tap in for these things. We'll talk about the trenching that we think is necessary in the auditorium. And then you guys can just do that, you know, on the basis of a change order.
I think that'd be cleaner
Yeah.
just contractually
Okay, let's do it.
wise.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do
So,
it, so the next time we come to a meeting, we have a change order to look
How
at.
long will it take to get us that bulletin?
I'll have to check with DTC. My guess is a week and a half, something like
Okay.
that.
So if we have a meeting in 2 weeks, we could have that information?
Possibly, yeah.
But then we'd have to go out and we'd have to get pricing after
Well,
that.
I
Well, I
would,
think we'd release it to Gilbane because it would be, they'd put an ATP on it and then back to you. So my guess is it probably wouldn't be ready in 2 weeks to vote on pricing, is my guess. I mean, Edmore's off-site, you know, you guys are gonna
We are-
take a little longer to process it probably.
We are not a priority of Edmore's at this point, so I will try my hardest to get them to place it as quickly as possible.
So I'll email Steve Chapion at DTC right now.
So we won't have anything in 2 weeks.
I mean, I would like it if we could, and I'll do everything in my power to get that over quicker. I'm just
Yeah,
trying
no, I
to keep
think it was-
expectations
The
real.
reality of getting the pricing and everything too, that's,
by the time you get an engineering bulletin, get that done, you get it out, and you get it back in 2 weeks, gets, you know, unfortunately, really quick. Unless we try to do it parallel.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then get the documents and tweak them, look at the documents and go, what isn't included, and we can do it parallel at the same
Right.
time.
I mean, the other thing that you could do is it is a possibility. I mean, any electrician could come in and say, oh, yeah, you want 2 lights there? All right, I can put 2 lights there. You wanna put
Well-
these things in? Okay, I can do that. So it just depends on how you guys wanna do it and the timing of it.
It feels
None
to
of
me
us
going
rocket
back through
science.
DTC is gonna cost an enormous amount of money, is it not, to install 2 lights?
That's probably simple, that's probably the simpler of the two, Joe. I think the one with the auditorium, my concern is sometimes we take some of these, what we think are simple fixes, and we have them do it, and then it doesn't get installed ultimately, like Phil's saying, if it's gotta go back to a panel on the stage, we end up saying we should have looked at it a little bit harder. I
I'm saying,
agree.
how
it's
do
a
we
little
know
bit,
what
but-
circuit to grab in the ceiling? We don't.
Well, that's
You know
the
what I'm saying?
whole
It's,
thing.
and you put an electrician in there and he grabs a circuit in the ceiling that's got 10 other things on it, and they don't know that.
They don't know those things.
No, a new electrician coming into that building with all the wiring in there, they won't have a great handle on it. Not to mention, it should probably go back to an emergency panel, because it is egress lighting, I would think, no? Joe?
Yeah.
Joe, it's kind of like an attorney filing a claim against an insurance
already
company without the
voted for
police
that
report.
already?
Follow me?
Or just the problem?
Yeah, just
What?
everything we talked about.
Yes, it makes perfect sense.
How'd that come from?
She's been saving
All
that
right,
for like
let's
3
let's
years.
let's get it together.
Yeah, we gotta close the meeting.
Let's,
It's something any electrician.
because of the egress lighting, particularly the outdoor lighting is probably pretty simple, but the egress lightings, we want that bulletin for the egress lighting, and we might as well just put in the exterior lighting at the same time.
But this is gonna be
And then we'll go to-
$20,000 in lighting, is what this is gonna be for $500 worth of work.
We don't have
Well-
an option with the egress lighting.
Egress
That's-
light, it's gotta go to an emergency circuit, so it's not, an emergency circuit, you're not just gonna grab out of the ceiling. Because during a blackout, if there's a blackout, that still needs to be lit if there's something going on in there.
Yeah.
But that makes it a bigger job, maybe a little more appealing, right? If
Oh,
you're
it's
giving
not
them the
appealing.
egress,
More paint.
no, I'm saying if you're giving them the egress
They
lighting,
don't care about that.
So-
No.
Electricians can charge whatever they
I could
want.
understand why they wouldn't want to come to, for
All
2
right.
lights, that wouldn't be a priority, but I would,
Yep.
the egress lighting seems like a job.
That's the direction, so we're going forward with that, Joe. So
Okay.
contact DTC and let's move on to that. Anything else? Carrie, anything to, yes?
I'm sorry, BVH, Chuck, they were in last week doing their finish up on, was it phase 2?
The 11-month walkthrough,
I beg your pardon?
the 11-month walkthrough for phase 2, they were there for.
Yeah, doing adjustments, and I was just wondering where we were with that, what, if they found anything, do we have a report back from them?
Verbally, we haven't heard anything back. And we're awaiting a report of some sort.
I'll follow up with Adam. I haven't heard anything, but I'll follow up with Adam.
Chuck, what, you got anything for us in addition?
No, just again, high level on your financials, you're about 205,000 we're showing on the remaining.
Including what we spent today.
Yeah.
So we don't, and we're still waiting for.
And I'll just double check Michelle on the shelving. I don't know if I had that encumbered, so I don't know if, I don't think that includes the shelving. I'll just say that conservatively, so.
And Gilbane still has to give us, we don't have
We
the
have to
total from
reconcile
Gilbane.
allowances.
Correct,
So
you have to scrub all the allowances and returns out, so that'll probably, gross some.
Joe, we talked about the bulletin, but other than that,
That's it for us.
Carrie, anything?
Hold on 1 second. I had Lindsay's email open. She gave me a whole list. Unfortunately, I have 1,000 emails from Lindsay Bowen, so bear with me for 1 second. Lindsay reports that 18 out of 30 trades, we've received all of their final documentation. Edmore is one of those trades, so we'll have to reopen their contract in order to amend them, which is not really an issue, but they will have to redo a fair amount of paperwork. But we do that on a regular basis, reopen contracts. Greenwood, we talked about the roof. We are still addressing some ponding areas that are happening at the Nurse and the Coral areas. NJ Daily has resolved the boiler items.
Yeah, they resolved it.
But they still have some cleanup and closeout to do on the commissioning portal. And they still owe us some of the final project warranties.
Phil, you're not happy with the result?
I'm not, the result is fine, they're working, they are working. It was how they got to figure out what was wrong with them was my problem. That just doesn't leave me a lot of faith in the
Continual
rest of
function
everything, so.
of them.
But still wondering if they finished insulating the back foyer bus entrance where we had the damage.
Cabinet unit heater.
From the unit heaters, if they're done with that.
Re-insulating the cabinet unit heaters. That's not on the list from Lynn's, so I'll ask her and get back to you on that, Phil.
Okay. And
Where did we end up with the leak in the front vestibule?
we're still unsolved with that also. That one, we know what it was, we just don't know why. We're still trying to figure out why that happened. Was it freeze up?
Freeze up, I thought it was, I
Was
thought that's what it was,
it
okay.
was it a bad install, cross, we don't
I
know.
thought that occurred when we had those really cold temps, is really what I.
Seems to be.
It did, but, yeah,
Okay, you don't know. I thought.
I can't answer the question.
Yep, got it.
And a new item that we're chasing is a condition at the EFS where the roof coping transitions to the EFS with the wind-driven rain. We were getting some water in there, so Lindsay's going to be working on that, or Alex is going to request a meeting.
Look at that this afternoon.
Yep.
Water got in the building?
Yeah.
Where is this?
At,
The gym storage area?
Gym storage.
yeah, Phil, you had reported it as a roof leak, but it was actually a wall leak. So when the roofers came out, they took a look at it.
Yep.
They caulked it so that you're not taking water in there,
Right, but it's not gonna be a
but that's
long-term
not a
fix.
permanent fix for that condition. So it's a top of wall leak too, so wind-driven rain is a classic for
Nightmare.
a wall leak. So you guys are gonna take a look at that. Other than that, Lindsay's just working on paperwork with the state change order and compiling backup for OCO number 13 for Chuck.
Yeah, that had to do with allowance and return of allowances. We
Yep.
just want to make sure we have all the backup for any use of allowances.
Other than that, those are the items on our list.
So the weather items, we're lucky in some regard that we had that rain
Yeah,
and that wind
Mhm.
to identify these issues. That was the only place that there was a,
yeah, for the most part, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do a full tour of everything on the roof today, just to make sure that there aren't other areas that were similarly
I was
affected.
glad no metal flew
And the
off the
gutter,
building.
yeah, I was just gonna say, the
gutters
gutter
came
issues, the
down.
flashing, there was no
I
gutter.
I checked during the storm, after the storm.
I was thinking of those gutters during the storm.
Yeah.
Well, but,
That's good, it held up.
Okay. So in 2 weeks, we're probably not gonna have enough information to make any decisions, so
Scary.
we'll have to go another month.
Month?
We're not meeting in 2 weeks?
No?
Yeah, let's see where that falls, because then we're talking April vacation.
March 26th.
Will it be April 2nd?
No, that's not vacation, but yeah, that would be spring.
Oh, the first, yeah, that's not vacation.
Yeah, that's not vacation.
So April 2nd.
26th?
April
Six.
2nd.
April 2nd.
My apologies, yeah, that's 3 weeks out.
Maybe said meeting adjourned.
Good.
All right. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.